Three flags, one ball, 16 stadiums that used to belong to just one country each, and for 39 days they belonged to the world. This was never just a soccer tournament. It was the biggest live experiment in shared hosting the planet has ever run. Rewind to June 13th, 2018, FIFA's Congress votes, and the United 2026 bid, the United States, Mexico, and Canada running together, wins hosting rights over a rival bid from Morocco. It's the first time in the tournament's history that three nations will share the job. Fast forward to kickoff on June 11th, 2026, 48 teams, up from 32, 104 matches, more than any World Cup before it. 16 host cities spread across three countries, three currencies, three immigration systems, and one shared calendar. The opening match doesn't happen in the United States at all. It happens at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, a stadium that, on that day, becomes the first venue in history to host three separate World Cups, dating back to 1970. Everything from the quarterfinals onward, by the terms of the original bid, plays out on U.S. soil. Canada, meanwhile, is hosting its first-ever Men's World Cup, a follow-up to the 2015 Women's World Cup it ran, which alone generated nearly $500 million in economic impact. Three countries, one trophy, and a tournament that would turn 16 American, Canadian, and Mexican cities into economic case studies in real time. Start in New England. Gillette Stadium in Foxborough hosted matches back at the 1994 World Cup, when the venue next door, Old Foxborough Stadium, was still standing. 32 years later, it's back, rebranded for the tournament as simply Boston Stadium, Gillette's name stripped from the building under FIFA's clean site rules. The original projection from the Boston Consulting Group, 4 to 6 matches, 450,000 visitors, up to $500 million in net economic impact. Then FIFA's schedule drops, and Boston doesn't get 6 matches. It gets 7, including a quarterfinal on July 9th. Organizers call it a better outcome than they'd planned for. The state of Massachusetts revises its estimate upward, north of $1 billion in economic impact statewide. The ripple goes further than Massachusetts. Next door, Rhode Island stands up an entire new nonprofit, Ocean State 2026, just to capture spillover from fans staying in Providence. State officials there are bracing for close to 1 million international visitors passing through the metro area and projecting more than $330 million in local impact from matches most of those fans won't even be attending in their own state. 40 days of fan festivals, hotels and restaurants running at capacity for the first time since the pandemic hollowed them out. For a city that spent years trying to rebuild its reputation as a global destination, this was the reintroduction. 1,600 miles southwest, a very different kind of host city. Kansas City is the smallest metro area of all 16 World Cup hosts, and it fought its way in anyway on the strength of 2 soccer-specific stadiums, a central U.S. location, and a fan base Mayor Quinton Lucas calls, without hesitation, the soccer capital of America. The venue is Arrowhead GA Field, home of the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Chiefs, temporarily renamed Kansas City Stadium and stripped of 3,500 seats to fit a full-size soccer pitch, resodded with fresh Bermuda grass and an underground air system to keep it alive through a Missouri summer. 6 matches, 4 group stage games, a round of 32 match, and a quarterfinal that goes to extra time. Argentina outlasting Switzerland 3-1. The price tag: Missouri alone sets aside more than $42 million just for the Arrowhead renovation. Add Kansas's contribution, add federal security and transit funding, and total public investment tied to Kansas City's World Cup run approaches $200 million. The projected return, something in the range of $620 to $653 million in direct economic activity for the greater Kansas City region. Local officials are candid about the math. Public money went in first, and the region is now counting on jazz clubs, barbecue joints, and a compact walkable downtown to bring it back. And there's a clock running underneath all of it. After 2030, the Chiefs won't be playing at Arrowhead anymore. For Kansas City, this World Cup isn't just a tournament, it's the stadium's victory lap. Zoom out from any single host city, and the numbers get almost absurd. FIFA's own commissioned research projects a $30.5 billion windfall split across the three host nations, and as much as $40.9 billion added to global GDP. 824,000 jobs, directly or indirectly tied to the event. Roughly $9.4 billion in new tax revenue. Tourism economics puts a finer point on it. 13.1 million visitors expected across all three countries, more than 21 million hotel room nights booked. In the United States, alone 1.24 million international travelers are projected to arrive, contributing $17.2 billion of that global total on their own. This is the pitch FIFA is making to 16 cities and 3 national governments. For one summer, you host the single most-watched sporting event on Earth, and the world's money follows the world's attention. But zoom into the fine print, and the story gets more complicated. Independent economists at Natixis and its parent group BPCE run their own models and land somewhere far more modest. Mexico's economy grows by maybe 0.1 to 0.2% because of the tournament. The United States, the largest economy hosting, barely moves the needle, around 0.05%. Alliance Trade's research arrives at similar numbers, about $6.1 billion added to U.S. output, $1.7 billion in Mexico, $1.3 billion in Canada, real money, but a rounding error against economies this size. Their conclusion isn't that the World Cup does nothing, it's that it's a short, sharp demand shock, not a structural change to how these economies grow. There is one genuine advantage this World Cup has over past mega events. Almost none of these 16 stadiums were built from scratch. They're mostly NFL and MLS venues, run by profitable franchises with existing fan bases, which means the white elephant risk that's haunted Olympic host cities for decades is, this time, dramatically lower. Strip away the balance sheets, and here's what three-country hosting actually required: synchronizing security and immigration across 2 borders, coordinating broadcast, ticketing, and transit systems across 3 governments that don't share a currency, getting 16 city governments, from Vancouver to Monterey, Toronto to Miami, to agree to temporarily erase their own stadium sponsors' names off their own buildings because FIFA said so. It meant Mexico opening the tournament at a stadium that's now hosted 3 World Cups, a record no other building on the planet holds. It meant Canada stepping onto the men's World Cup stage for the first time ever on home soil. It meant a small Midwestern metro like Kansas City standing shoulder to shoulder on FIFA's own map with New York and Los Angeles. And as of this week, it means the tournament is down to its final act. Spain punched its ticket to the final first, beating France 2-0 in Dallas. Argentina followed on July 15th in Atlanta, coming from behind late against England to book their spot. Sunday, July 19th, the two meet at MetLife Stadium, just outside New York City, for the first World Cup final this region has ever hosted. By Sunday night, the Confetti falls in New Jersey, the trophy gets lifted, and 16 stadiums, from Foxborough to Kansas City to Mexico City, go quiet again. The economists will spend years arguing over whether the billions actually landed the way FIFA promised. The cities will spend years finding out whether 4 weeks of the world's attention turns into something that outlasts the tournament itself. So here's the real question nobody answers on a scoreboard. When 3 countries share a stage this big, does the boost belong to the cities that hosted it, or does it just pass through them on its way back to FIFA?